Alright, so I want to knock out the review here real quick of the ADV150. I've had it for a year now. I put 8,500 miles on it, and I'm putting it up for sale. I'll tell you, it's been a good little scooter. It's been a whole lot better to daily something like this versus my Grom. The underseat storage that it has, which I'll go ahead and pop this open. It's all done here. This right here makes it a whole lot more enjoyable. The investment in the shad box was definitely a good move. That's probably one of my favorite upgrades I've done to this thing. It adds a lot more storage to the bike. It's waterproof, it's light, you can pop it right on and off. Number two, the thing that I recommend everybody should do to one of these is, instead of these rocks, 1 inch up, 1 inch forward risers, they give you a whole lot more leg room up in here. You're not riding with your hands way down here, and it moves them up a good little bit. Number two, well, wait, scratch that. Number three, if you're a little bit taller, crash bars and highway pegs, because as you can see, these feet spots right here were made for little tiny feet. Like Megan fits on here really good, but I don't have no leg room on this thing. I was far more comfortable on my Grom than I am on this thing. But they added storage of the scooter, and everything else makes up for the little bit of discomfort. Throwing these crash bars and highway pegs on fixes that. Another thing I should mention too with these risers are, if you do the 1 inch up, 1 inch forward, you don't need to relocate your mirrors, because it moves your mirrors up and forward too, which kind of cuts your shoulder out. I got just a little bit of my shoulder here, just a little bit of my shoulder here, but I can see everything around me a whole lot better. Another little cheap upgrade I done to it was I put one of these little Amazon windscreens on. I highly recommend not buying the Amazon one because it's kind of junky. Somehow it broke and you can't adjust it, because if you go to adjust it, it just keeps wanting to fall, but somehow I've got it locked in one spot. I have not touched it since, and it's been holding now for like 4,000 miles. So you could try it and use it, but I recommend a better clamp-on windscreen. Another obvious upgrade is I got it painted at a local shop. Painted. Figured I had it tore apart to replace a turn signal that I had accidentally kicked and broke. You really got to watch these front turn signals; they're super fragile. And since I had it tore apart, I went ahead and just took the back pieces off too and got it painted. And along with that, I've replaced the seat with this seat from, I think it's like ADV Moto Kitty or something like that in Thailand. I thought it was going to give me a lot more leg room, because on the pictures it looks like this part here is moved back, but it's not. It's in the same spot. So it does sit flatter, so I'm not getting, like, as you would ride down the road, you would slowly slide forward, it would give yourself a wedgie. I'm not getting that anymore, so I guess that is a plus to this seat. And another cheap upgrade I did to it was the some foam. These are the knockoff version of Grip Puppies. They're like $7 on Amazon. They help cut the vibrations a little bit. Another thing I did back here in the back, I put the Yoshimura tail tidy on it. It cleans up the look of the back of the bike a little bit, and kind of don't help if you put a big old box on it, but it looks a lot better. That's just an unnecessary cosmetic upgrade, but I liked it. Alright, as far as performance upgrades go, the only thing I've done to this thing now is 16 gram sliders and the variator. I had a Yamanashi variator with the 12 gram rollers, and it ran really good with those. It definitely had a whole lot more acceleration, but the Yamanashi variator was garbage. It tore up my stock belt, and the sliders didn't make it 3,000 miles before they broke. So I'm now, what do we got? 8,500 miles. I'm 4,500 miles on these sliders now, and they're holding up way better. I don't have the speed of, with the Yamanashi, it would top out like 77 miles an hour. And now it's back to topping out at like 67, but still accelerates better, and it's a whole lot more reliable. Being a Honda, you would think that this thing's been fully reliable with zero issues, but I have had some problems. Like I said, the stock belt only made it to the 4,000 mile mark. I don't think that was Honda's fault. I'm pretty sure that was Yamanashi that caused that problem, because this belt right here is not, it never broke, it just started squealing. But this one right here is not squealing at all, and it's got 4,500 miles on it. Worst thing that happened to it was my water pump started leaking. The impeller seal went bad, so I had to replace the water pump. I recently just did that, and the only reason I did it and not taking it to Honda to get the warranty done to it was we needed this thing up and rolling for a trip we were going to do, but we ended up having to cancel that trip. Should have just dropped it off and let Honda do it, but it was an easy enough job. I don't regret it. It's pretty cheap. I think the water pump itself, the whole thing, I got like $50 in it, so it was easy to fix. But that's one thing this scooter has been, is cheap. Oil changes on it are like $5 to $8. Tires are cheap, they're 60, 70 bucks, and this front tire has 4,500 miles on it, and the rear tire, the stock rear tire, made it 4,000 miles, and it was super feathered and bald in the centers. I highly recommend going to just a street tire on this thing, because people do say this is an adventure scooter, and I'll tell you that it is not an adventure scooter. Now the reason why I'm gonna say that this is not an adventure scooter is because right here is your air intake. And any type of adventure trails you would go on, there's gonna be a lot of water crossings. So you cannot go in water any deeper than this line right here. And now some creeks and streams are shallow, but you're really playing a game of risk there, because all it takes is one little hole in the creek and you're sucking water into your engine. And then on top of that, why I'd say this is not an adventure off-road scooter, it's ground clearance. There is nothing protecting the engine. The engine on this thing is horizontal with the transmission, and all it takes is one rock and now you got a busted case and you're replacing the whole engine. So it's marketed as an adventure scooter. It's got the adventure aggressive look with these piggyback shocks and everything else, but the stock knobby type tires are horrible on the road. And once you replace your stock tires on one of these instead of street tires and you feel how much better it feels in the corners, you'll be happy you done that. Probably wondering why I'm selling it, and the only reason I'm selling it is because we just put a deposit down on a new dual sport for me, and this year money's tight, so I can't keep everything that I want to keep. So I'm selling this. Oh, that's why I'm getting another motorcycle. And like I said before, I don't really fit on it. Like, if it was something that, if it was a little bit bigger and I fit on it a little bit better, I'd be more tempted to want to keep it. And if it got a little bit better gas mileage. Honda claims like 100 miles per gallon with this thing, and I'm only seeing about 85. And now that's not Honda's fault. I am asking a lot more on this scooter. Half of my commute to work is on a 55-mile-an-hour road, so I'm running it at a little bit higher RPM than Honda's probably assuming people are going to. Speaking of that too, real fast, I'm gonna go ahead and mention too that since I'm talking about running at higher RPMs, I see a lot of people talk about how these things are not designed to be ran at 60 miles an hour all day long. They totally are. It's not even burning one single X on the dipstick of oil. It's burning 0 oil between oil changes. So if I was asking too much of it, running it too hard, it'd be burning oil. My old Grom, I'd ride around all day long at 8,000 to 9,000 RPMs. Never burn no oil. Yep, that's it. I'm gonna wrap that up and throw this thing up on Marketplace. See you on the next one. Shoo!